The Trans-Satanic agenda, awakening believers, coming out of the Satanist deception. In order to understand the Trans-Satanic agenda, you must first know Elohim, the creator of all things, and the Elohim of all flesh, the beginning and the end, and his ways. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. When he did so, he established his order across his own earth. He gave commands and placed boundaries. In the peace, freedom, secularism, and Christianity, I wrote, the scriptures give us clear boundaries for humanity. Elohim details out that there are both negative, physical, and spiritual consequences to breaking these boundaries. The purpose of the commandments is not to hinder free thinking and liberal living. It is to keep humanity in its safest, most optimum state, in order that they build, they prosper, and advance their lives from generation to generation. We see that true freedom does not come in everyone living out their own truth. True freedom comes in doing the right thing, in everyone doing what is good. This is the only option that results in our collective highest good. And how can we determine right from wrong, good from evil, if there are no boundaries under which all humanity is subject? And how can we agree on boundaries if we have no access to an objective truth from where we can start? And how can there be an objective truth for all if there is no Elohim who sets it and inscribes it on the consciences of all humanity? Living within Yah's commands and boundaries establishes order, truth, sanity, and true peace. The evil one in return acts in exact contradistinction to Yah, his purpose, and his ways. His intention, therefore, is to do the exact opposite, to bring about disorder through meticulous deception and to eventually cause a descension into madness and chaos. This belief of the evil one that he can own the world, him and his elites, through deception is the reason I believe the trans agenda was formulated. First, it is important that we understand that human beings are deistic beings. The Creator made man primarily to worship him and fellowship with him. Every human worships. It's just a question of whom they choose to worship. Their words, behaviors, commitments, and devotion tell us who in their lives they worship. The transgenders bend their biological gender. This act, commitment, and devotion to changing genders mirrors the fallen god Baphomet. Baphomet is a goat-headed god that bears breasts, wide hips, and a phallus. That is both male and female physical features in one body. These Satanists, in honor of their religion and their god, transition to the opposite gender under the belief that it gives them a godlike status and that they benefit from having features of both sexes in one body. This belief is meant to be practiced through craft and deception, where they cause as many people as possible to believe that they are the sex they present as and not their biological sex. In doing so, they cause masses to participate in their deception. The point of deception is that the object of deception never comes to their awareness that they are being deceived. In the piece, Maisha card in the coming times, I wrote of how all oppression begins with a lie. How when one is continually exposed to lies, they begin to lose their ability to differentiate the truth from a lie. Such people can be easily subdued because it only takes a lie to alter their reality. If you psychologically keep them in this state, then whatever you tell them to be true will be their truth. From there, you can do as you wish with them. I wrote, either way, the oppressor wins if he continues in lies. This is why those in power continue to traffic in lies, even when they know their audiences can tell. The point is not that we know and can tell that they're lying. The point is the effect that the lies will have on us. When the perpetual lies and deceit work effectively against us, we will devolve into unthinking, obedient subjects to their totalitarian rule. It is a deep, diabolical psychological scheme with far-reaching consequences, and people ought to be aware of this. Lies and deceit will be a great weapon of power, exploitation, manipulation, and oppression in the establishment of the beast system. Satanists, in living and presenting themselves as the opposite of their biological sex, contribute greatly in holding masses captives to deception. And trust me, their intention is to deceive. If it were not so, they would openly admit to what they are. Keeping masses in deception grooms the masses for the satanic agenda of bringing disorder, chaos, and madness, and having the so-called elites take over from there. Genesis 5:1-2. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day they were created. The trans agenda looks to break this command through satanic means, that is, complex deception, to bring about the satanic end goal, which is confusion, chaos, madness. Coming out of this deception involves learning how to identify biological males and females in our midst. We do this by not just using our eyes, but by identifying anatomical features that differ between both sexes, even with manipulations done on the physical body. This is achieved primarily by looking at the skeletal structures of both males and females, as the skeletal structure can never be altered. It is predetermined by the DNA. Female skeletal structure is designed to hold a pregnancy, while the male one is not. The body in developing adapts to the skeletal structure of the person. One who transgenders only bends or manipulates as many features as they can, but they cannot manipulate their skeletal structure and the features on them that are adapted to their skeletal structure. In Trans-vestigating, we look at the features that betray the skeletal structure of a person, making an evaluation of whether all the traits collectively, in conjunction with one another, will equate to the biological male or female. The female energy and anatomy presents itself in this manner. First, a woman's gaze is usually soft, tender, and inviting. Their facial features will mirror this. Women have smaller skulls compared to men, which is why their facial features are usually close together and not widely spaced out features as you would find on men. Their bottom and lower lips are usually of equal size. Women also have shorter and rounded foreheads. Women's bodies overall are softer looking due to higher subcutaneous fat levels. Women's bodies form curves even on very slim women. A woman's waistline usually indents from above the navel, expanding outwards to form wide hips. Wide hips are a result of having a wide pelvis, which shows they have space to carry a baby. The hips are usually in equal ratio with the shoulder length. That is, the widest part of a woman's hips is usually equal with the point at which the shoulders project into arms. Women's clavicle bones form a V shape, creating a slopy shoulders look on their physical body. A woman's thighs are also curved due to higher subcutaneous fat levels. The legs continue in a curve all the way up to the ankles. A woman's back is also designed differently from a man's. Women have pronounced back arcs that curve outward into a pronounced posterior. Looking from a side view, you'll notice biological women have a pelvic tilt. The back arcs inward, causing the pelvis to curve outward. This tilt is important in a woman because without it, she would not be able to move during pregnancy, as the gravitational pull on the baby would prevent that, or cause arduous strain. This tells us that biological women should not have flat bellies. If they do, it's probably an anomaly showing that they have dangerously low levels of subcutaneous fat, and this will lead to massive challenges in their fertility journey. Women's arms tend to be shorter, with the palms resting at the widest part of the hips when they stand. Women also walk differently, with one leg in front of the other because of the wide pelvic area that creates space for the baby to come out. Overall, women have smaller, softer features compared to men. Men's energy and anatomical structure presents itself in this way. A man's gaze is usually projected outward as opposed to being tender and inviting. It is piercing, it is fierce. Men have larger skulls and their facial features match that, having them be more widely spaced out and pronounced. Men usually have a smaller upper lip and a larger lower one, with wider, more square jaw lines. Men's foreheads tend to tilt forward to form a brow ridge. Men obviously have an Adam's apple, a pronounced trachea, and broad, thicker necks. They have a straight T clavicle forming a rectangular shape on their upper body. For men, much of their mass is gathered on their torso and upper body, unlike women whose greater mass is usually gathered on their lower body due to a wide pelvis. So their upper body is usually wider than their lower. Men's arms hang low from the shoulders, with their wrists resting around the same area of the base of their crotch line. Men have very narrow pelvis because they do not have space to carry any baby, Their legs are long and thin because men have lower levels of subcutaneous fat compared to women, and more muscle. This tends to make their bodies look angular, with bones jutting out, being more visible and projected. They have straight backs that project lower all the way to their posterior and have no pelvic tilt. You'll notice that biological males walk with their legs side by side, like marching, because of the lack of a wide pelvis. Their legs have more muscle at the calf, then become thinner all the way to the ankles. Overall, men have larger, angular, longer features compared to women. You can expect wider palms, longer feet, longer arms, etc. on men. Over the course of time, the media has incrementally introduced transgenders into the world as celebrities. When they first began, TV and media showed proper males and females, but over time they intentionally began introducing the inverted, casting them as protagonists in their agenda to promote mass deception, to brainwash the masses off of being able to easily tell a man from a woman, and vice versa. This would also help in hiding transgenders in the regular populace, as people would progressively lose their ability to differentiate the two. Moreover, they would be able to unwittingly usher many into satanism. By modeling these transgenders as heroes and admirable above the rest in every field and industry, by manipulating people into worshipping them, the masses vicariously worship and give odes to the god they represent, namely Baphomet. Presenting these males, that is, male to female transgenders, as the beauty standard also benefits Satanists in that they are able, through craft and subtlety, to destroy the biological female. By creating an unobtainable standard for women to model after, and for biological males to admire, the value and honor surrounding the biological female automatically diminishes. 1. The biological female will never be as beautiful as the surgically created male-to-female transgender. The men will begin to feel shortchanged and resent having access to the average female as opposed to the beautiful F2M. And women begin to lose value even in their own eyes for being unable to reach the standard admired by the society and that the men at large prefer and desire. The other obvious effect of this deception is that it subconsciously grooms masses for homosexuality, where the men lust after biological males who present themselves as women, and women desire biological women who present themselves as men, or compare themselves to men presenting themselves as women. The female body by nature is supposed to have a sexual effect on a man. The men were made to desire the female form, even on a subconscious level. What these casting directors often do is that they often parade these female-to-male transgenders topless or naked as much as they can. F2M's chests do not look like biological males' chests. They are usually more fleshy, formed, and curved as opposed to biological males, which are flat and square. In this way, they can, at least on a subconscious level, ignite sexual desire in biological males for what presents itself as a male. As you can see, this is a perfect recipe to cause mass dissension into confusion and madness.